So I figured since I record so much for Instagram stories, it would be a shame to let the stuff go to waste. So here's a project I made of a scoring machine.
Alright, y'all. You know what I did with Spoopy Gus yesterday? Today I'm going to do it with pizza. Oh boy. I changed my mind. Today, instead, I'm going to make a table, or a tabletop device that scores paper.
I've got the basics of the spring mechanism sorted out, but undoubtedly I'm going to find faults in it further down the line. But for now, that's cool.
I've successfully installed the piece of metal that will do the score line. What I used was a piece of an old bandsaw blade that didn't work anymore. And to install it, I used this piece of precision equipment. For the buffer, on the bottom of the scoring knife, I used a piece of non-slip yoga mat. Now we get to assemble it and see if it works.
Okay, team. Moment of truth. Looks like it works to me. Nice.
I found a flaw in the first idea. When you're feeding the paper in, it would get stuck on the edge, and that would drive me nuts. So before moving on, I wrapped this around. Next step, I'm routing the gutter so this part can fit inside this board. I'm using a guide for the first time. It makes things easy.
Well, during our brief break, I put this scoring knife in here with shims. Securing that better on the side will be next, but we got this guide here. We'll do straight scores, and then this sliding guide back here. I gotta find a better way to secure that, but that can act as a stop. So that's where I am now. I had the idea to cut up a yardstick to use as a guide, so that's square to that. But I guess the real test would be to make some boxes. This guy right here, this character is coming down the line, and since there aren't any funky angles or anything, I think this might be an easy box to start with. So I'm gonna have dinner. I'll be back in an hour or two, and we'll try that. And dinner was these delightful bean burritos. Onward.
Here's version 1 of the box. The scores were great. The machine works great. But my math is off. A lot of wasted space in here. Let's try again. Here's attempt number 2. Piece fits much better. Let's make some boxes.
For my boxes, I've been using these big sheets of Dollar Tree white cardstock. They cost 50 cents a piece. So that's a pretty okay price. You can get 4 or 5 boxes out of each piece. Right now I'm cutting them down to size by hand. And then, since I couldn't get the guide part fixed yet, I glued down a piece of yardstick as a stop for each of the folds, and went through and did each of the folds, and then tore the yardstick up, remeasured it, glued it down again for every other fold. That's going to have to change in the future. Also, this machine starts to hurt your hand after a while, so I'm going to need to improve there a little bit.
I spared you the part where I cut these out, but I just used my bandsaw. And I saved money on my car insurance by switching to Geico.
Here I am just folding and gluing up the boxes. It was almost zen in a way. I was just thinking happy thoughts of sitting on the beach in the Caribbean. Whatever. I mean, it's work, it's got to be done, so just get her done and move on, man.
Now I have Boxes full of boxes. What a day.
That was the end of the Instagram story, but then I went back and I took some photos of things to get good shots of it. For the bottom of this, I used a piece of, this is half of an IKEA desk. You can see on the top left how there's a semicircle cut out. That's for computer cords. This stuff isn't the best to use because it's not solid. It's full of this corrugated paperboard. But it worked good for a surface. For version 2, I'm definitely gonna try to make something a bit more sturdy. These are the core components of the build. It's basically just 2 pieces of wood put together with some bolts and some compression springs with the scoring knife hammered into the thing on the top. Here's a closer picture of it. It's the same thing on the other side. You just put the paper in there and you press down. The knife scores it. The buffer on the bottom keeps the paper from getting too mangled. There are probably better materials to do this, but I used what I had on hand. And then I made some recesses for the spring so it fit down nice and tight. And for a version 1, it worked pretty well. This is just a shot of a failed scored box. Before, I was doing this by hand each score, and it took a real long time. And this machine is really going to help me in the future. And this is a picture of the finished product. I feel like this machine is really going to help in the future. It made things easy and, dare I say, fun. I'm looking forward to improving it. And things are just going to get better and better. So thank you very much to all of my Patreon patrons. It is with your help that I am able to do these types of things. Your Patreon contributions give me a feeling of stability that I would not have otherwise, so I'm very, very grateful for each and every one of you. And since I make so much content for Instagram when I'm working, I'm going to try to make these videos better. I have all this footage, it's a shame that it goes to waste. Well, that's about it for today. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.